Hi, welcome to another video from the IELTS Abuja Prep Center. This is TATEC TV. On today's meeting, I'm going to be teaching you about the application of the formula, the essay writing formula that would help you to hit a band score of at least 7.0 and above. So in our last video, we talked about the formula which has 4 P's, P1, P2, P3, and P4. And I talked about the fact that the P's simply indicate paragraphs. And by implication, it means you are to have 4 paragraphs in your essay. Do not write more and do not write less. Okay, just to do a quick recap, I also taught in the last or previous video that your paragraph 1 should have 4 components, which are the paraphrase, the thesis background statement, and your stance. And I told you that paraphrase is all about you copying the question but not word for word. Then your thesis background statement is about you saying what you're going to be doing in the essay, while your stance is you proffering either an opinion or making a suggestion or indicating whether or not the merits outweigh the demerits. All right, going to paragraph 2, I exposed us to the fact that we have the TS, the BP, and an instance. And by TS here, I mean topic sentence. And here we have body paragraph. Of course, this means an example. The same thing goes to paragraph 3, where we have the topic sentence, the body paragraph, and an illustration, which also means example. Whereas when you go to the paragraph 4, you are to talk about your conclusion and your stance. So for conclusion is about giving the synopsis of the topic sentences you discussed in paragraphs 2 and 3. So that's about the formula. So I'm going to break it down in the way you are expected to make use of it on the day of your exam. Let's go into the business. On the day of your exam, you are going to be given your question booklet and an answer paper. Now, your question booklet will contain the question you are going to write on. The first thing you are expected to do as a test taker is to read the question just once. Now, when you read that question just once, what you tend to achieve by doing that is identifying the keywords in the question. Please avoid reading more than once, because you might end up picking interest in an aspect of the question. For instance, if a question says, do you agree or disagree? And you read twice, you might begin to think of the points you would like to use and start taking a path to in the essay. This would affect your paraphrase, because your paraphrase will begin to go in the direction of the path you wish to either write for or against. So read the question just once so you can identify the keywords in the question. And once you identify the keywords, you simply write just above the words the synonym you would like to use to paraphrase them. Immediately after that, you then copy that question onto your answer booklet. But try as much as you can to do this chronologically. If you are able to copy the question chronologically and then substitute the keywords in the question using the synonyms that you are 101% sure that they paraphrase those words correctly, then use them. Now, immediately after the paraphrase, you are to apply your full stop. Okay, now this means that is the end of the question. But there is something about the IELTS question. In some cases, you will find out that the IELTS question comes in 2 sentences, especially when there are 2 views. For instance, you would hear something like, certain individuals believe that the authorities should regulate the foods that people eat so to encourage good health. Full stop. On the other hand, others believe that people should be free to eat whatsoever they want. Discuss both views and give your opinion. Here are two concerns. The question is coming in two aspects. Now, when you are paraphrasing, IELTS expects you to link the two views together using linking words. And when you do this, you are establishing or showing off your compound complex sentence skill. Let's take for instance, if, like I read earlier, if I'm paraphrasing that question, I would simply say, a number of individuals opine that government should control what people consume so as to foster healthy lifestyle, comma, whereas, comma, others believe that individuals or persons or people should be free to eat whatsoever they desire. I have linked these two sentences to have just one compound complex sentence. So that will be my paraphrase. I'll transfer that onto my answer booklet as the beginning of my paragraph 1, this guy right here. So if I do that, I end it with a full stop. And once that is done, what you are expected to do is, please shift your answer booklet aside. Pick up the original question paper. Read that carefully. I would recommend that you read it twice or thrice. Ensure that you've understood the question clearly. If you have done this, below that question booklet, please draft out your point. For instance, on this question, I paraphrased verbally. Since the instruction says discuss both views, the first point I would raise would be, okay, so that is my first point, and I've also attached an example to it. Now for the other guys, I would say people should be free to eat whatever they like, right? So what point can I use to support them? So I would say based on their health conditions. Oops. Okay, right here, I have been able to draft out 2 points. The first point is to support those who feel that government should control what people eat in order to encourage healthy living. That's this point right here. While this second point is to support those who feel that people should be free to eat whatsoever they want. All right. Now, these points have been drafted down on my question paper as rough work. And to each point, I have my examples that I'm going to use to buttress them. After drafting these points down, the next thing would be my opinion. The question says, give your opinion. I would also draft an opinion somewhere on my question booklet as rough work. Please don't misunderstand this. IELTS does not mark what is scribbled on your question booklet. No, what they mark is what you transfer onto your answer paper. So feel free to draft or plan your essay on your question booklet, right? Plan the essay, and that would get you fully ready to deliver. First is the point to support the first guys. Here is a point support the second view. And now the opinion will be drafted out too. So once I've completed drafting out my points and attaching my opinion, I am ready to begin my essay. Now, remember I stopped on my answer paper, I stopped at the paraphrase, which ended with a full stop. So what I need to do next is establishing my thesis background statement. Now, what is the thesis background statement all about? This is the statement you make in writing that shows or tells or proves to the examiner what you intend to do in the essay. It is a statement you make in writing immediately after the paraphrase that confirms to the examiner what you will be doing in the essay. Now, just like the politicians, whenever it is time or whenever the election time draws near, what you would hear everywhere they go, whenever they mount the podium, would be, if you elect me, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'll do this, I'll do that within this period. That, in IELTS context, is their thesis background statement. That is what they are going to do within the period of their tenure. So you, as the IELTS test taker, your thesis background statement is largely dependent on the points you've been able to draft down. When you are able to draft out those points, you will be confident enough to say, in this essay, I'm going to be doing XYZ. So how do you establish your thesis background statement? Please, let's assume that your full stop stops here. Your thesis background statement should continue on this same line. Please don't leave this place and come to another line to write. Right? There is still space, so use it. So let me show you how to establish your thesis background statement. So immediately after the full stop, you write okay. So this is one way you can launch your thesis background statement in your immediately after the paraphrase. This says, in this essay, I will be writing to do what? Now, to do whatever the question or instruction indicates in or on your question booklet. For instance, in this particular question I'm using as a model, it says discuss both views. So, and I've written out the points I want to use to discuss the views. So my thesis background statement will be saying, in this essay, I will be writing to clearly, to lucidly, to vividly discuss the views stated above. I hope this is clear. In this essay, I will be writing to clearly discuss the above views. To clearly, to lucidly, to vividly discuss the above views or the views stated above. And your thesis background statement does not end with a full stop. It ends with a semicolon. Now, immediately after your semicolon, you bring in your opinion. Whatever you want to opine based on what you feel about the question or issues raised, you now bring that in right here, just right here. And you write and continue, full stop. And that's the end of your paragraph 1. Let me take that again. The first thing you do in your paragraph 1 is paraphrase the question, which simply means you copying the question that's written on your question paper onto your answer booklet. But you are not to do this, you are not to copy that question word for word. You are to restate the question by changing the keywords in the question using their synonyms. And after this, if the question comes in 2 sentences, IELTS expects you to link the views using linking words. And this would help you to constitute what IELTS call complex or compound complex sentences. So once you achieve this, paraphrasing your question, you apply your full stop. Immediately after your paraphrase and the full stop, you are advised to plan your essay. And how do you do this? Move your answer booklet aside. Shift it aside, pick up the original question paper, read the question twice or thrice, contemplate on the question, ensure you've clearly understood what the question is saying. If this has been achieved, now think of the path you would like to take. Taking a path in any question should not be based on your religious belief or your moral values. IELTS is not concerned about any of these. They are only after your ability to deliver intelligently and professionally. Now, when you take a path, please, I suggest that the path you have to take should be the area that you have better and faster points to express. Right? So you decide on the path that you have points to express. When you have gotten this path, what you need to do is jot down or draft down the points you intend to use to write or discuss that aspect. Now, when you draft out these points, ensure to attach an example to it. Okay, so at the end of drafting out the points and attaching the examples, the next thing you need to do is express your personal view, your opinion, especially if the question requires you to give your opinion. Now, when you are able to draft down your opinion, that is the end of your planning. You then begin to, you move over to the answer paper and establish your thesis background statement where you stopped at you establish your thesis background statement immediately after the full stop that ends your paraphrase. Now, establishing your thesis background statement simply entails you stating categorically and emphatically that in this essay, I'm going to be writing to whatever you want to do. You now complete that sentence. Then, your thesis background statement does not end with a full stop. It ends with a semicolon. Please don't forget this. So immediately after the semicolon, you then bring in your stance, which is your opinion. All right, so after your opinion, that is the end of your paragraph 1. Okay, I talked about the fact that if you have planned your paragraph 1 and successfully transfer them onto your answer paper, your essay has been solved 50%. Now I'm going to explain how this works. Now, after your P1, the next thing you have to solve will be your paragraphs 2 and 3. Now, for your paragraphs 2 and 3, you need to bring in 3 major components, which are the thesis, the topic sentence, the body paragraph, and an instance. What would you bring in as this topic sentence? Is right here. That point you drafted out on your question paper as rough work. That point will constitute this topic sentence. Right? Now, immediately after you write your topic sentence, you then begin to discuss that point, and that will constitute your body paragraph. Discussing it means you are expatiating on it, you are elaborating it, you are discussing it in full detail. Now, immediately let me point out something. A lot of people feel that essay writing is all about spellings all through. No. Your essay writing should have figures. Your essay writing should have percentage. It should have date. It should have quantity. Written not in words. No. So ensure that you factor in percentage, bring in amount, bring in year, period, location, names of experts, researchers, whoever, depending on what you're writing on anyway. So as you begin to expatiate on the topic sentence you've written already under or as your body paragraph, you bring all of these factors I've just pointed out: date, location, quantity, percentage, fractions, and all of that. Okay, factor all of these things in. So at the end of your elaboration of the topic sentence, you then bring in your example, which is right here. It's about drugs now. So you are saying, based on the topic sentence, which says, for avoidance of abuse of the food, abuse of food substances, for avoidance of abuse of food substances, you begin to elaborate on it by simply saying, over time, a lot of people who have unrestricted access to certain or whatever they like end up abusing such things by way of taking them in excess, which consequently lead to some reactions. Okay? And as a result of this, some persons have experienced loss of memory, mental retardation, death in some cases. And some persons have actually reacted violently, by venting or acting under the influence of whatever substance they took into their body. A research conducted by a team of scientists led by professor, you give a name. Your IELTS essay writing should be well articulated and constructive. This is where you show in spontaneity and creativity, right? You are the author at this point. So you need to factor in all of these things. IELTS is not so much concerned about giving 100% facts. So ensure to bring in this as much as you can. So once you're done, your example, you cite a situation where someone who consumed a particular substance excessively either ran mad or acted violently in the within the environment, or even vented his whatever situation on the people around him. Hence, government stepping in would reduce such abuse, and this would in return reduce chaos, right? Criminalities and so many other vices in the society. When you go to your paragraph 3, you bring in the topic sentence, which is based on allergies, health situations. You then begin to discuss it. factor in these points I've talked about and cite an example. Right, because some persons have some health challenges, underlying health situations. So if government begins to restrict or control what comes in and what people have access to, there might be situations where either because of inflation or the high cost of purchasing what is now available, people might resort to going for the little or the affordable ones, which might not be so compatible or healthy to them, right? So it would affect them health-wise. It will affect them in other ways. So people should be free to eat whatever they want by way of either being based on their health situations or based on their religious beliefs or based on the fact that they can afford them. Right. So these are things you talk about because you have the points handy, drafted down on your question paper as rough work. You can now discuss them easily and freely. Now, for your paragraph 4, there are 2 to 3 ways you can conclude your essay. First and foremost, your essay can be concluded in these ways. First, you can conclude your essay by starting the paragraph with the word summarily, comma, or you conclude by starting your 4th paragraph using the word conclusively, or you begin with the expression in light of the above. Okay, there's something very fantastic or very fascinating about using summarily or conclusively. If you choose to use summarily or conclusively, what you have to do is to give the synopsis of the topic sentences you discussed in your paragraphs 2 and 3. You summarize them. Okay? And then after that, you bring in your stance. If you choose to use summarily or conclusively, you are expected to summarize the topic sentences you discussed in your paragraphs 2 and 3, after which you then bring in your stance. Let me show you, or let me run through this so that you would have a better understanding. If I choose to use summarily or conclusively, comma, government stepping in to regulate or control what people eat would help to resolve a whole lot of vices and irregularities. It would also help to curtail or prevent or avoid excessive consumption of certain substances, which may lead to death, which might affect people psychologically and other ways. And doing this by government will foster healthy lifestyle. Also, allowing people to eat whatever they want will not only help or give them the privilege to exercise their fundamental human rights in the area of freedom of choice. It would also allow them to maintain health directives, especially for people who have some underlying ailments or facing some health challenges, thereby being restricted to consuming a particular or few specified foods. Likewise, people with their religious beliefs and practices giving them the freedom to eat whatever they like will help them to exercise their religious doctrines and beliefs. Therefore, in my candid opinion, then you bring in your stance. All right. What about if you choose to use in light of the above? If you are going for in light of the above in your paragraph 4, you do not need to summarize the topic sentences anymore. You simply have to go straight to your stance immediately after in light of the above. It's just very straightforward. So you are starting with, in light of the above, I therefore recommend strongly that, then you establish your opinion. I can see that you like this. It's short, stress-free. A lot of us prefer to do things that will not give us stress. But there is a consequence. If you have not written so much in your paragraphs 1, 2, 3, you are strongly advised to use summarily or conclusively. Remember, you have a target to write a minimum of 250 words. So using summarily or conclusively will help you to hit this milestone. But if you've written so much already and you don't want to overflog your essay, making it more lengthy, just go straight to, in light of the above, I therefore recommend strongly, and that's it. Now, how do you bring in your stance? Your stance can be expressed from different perspectives. It could be based on an experience you have over the years. So you are saying, in my experiential opinion, comma, I strongly recommend that you complete your opinion. If it is based on your profession, perhaps you want to opine based on the fact that it is your profession. So your opinion should sound like, in my professional opinion, right? So this is coming from your profession. If your opinion is coming based on your logical thoughts, your personal ideology, you are simply advised to express your opinion or start your opinion using, in my candid opinion or in my personal opinion. Then you write your opinion. And that is the end of your paragraph 4. So at this point, you have completed your essay. At this point, what you need to do is go and proofread. Dot your I's, cross your T's, see what you need to correct, especially spellings. Read by finger pointing to make sure you are not omitting some things unconsciously. You know, there's a way the brain works. Sometimes you write things or you intend to write things, and as you write, the hand omits some things. The brain says that or imagines it is written, but your hand didn't actually write it. So, and even when you are proofreading, you might not still spot it because you're reading based on what you had intended to pen down, right? This is why most professors will write a book and give it to someone else to vet for them and correct. So please, you need to do your proofreading, do finger pointing, point word by word and read. If you have omitted simple words such as is, to, a, please ensure you impute them and correct any spelling that is incorrect. Now, after that, how do you count your words to be sure you have written a minimum of 250 words? You don't need to count the entire essay 1, 2, 3, 4 up to the total number. You should count the first 3 or 4 lines individually. Let's say the first line you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Second line count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Third line count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So on an average, per line should be given 7 words. So what you now need to do is count how many lines you have and multiply by 7. That would give you the total number of words you've written so far. This is peculiar to people that are writing the paper-based test. But if you're doing the computer-based test, that's an advantage for you. The computer will help you to give you the record of your word count, and that's it. Okay, so this is all about the essay. It's very simple. Don't mind the fears a lot of people have actually put into you. IELTS essay writing is very interesting and simple. All you need to do is improve your skills on how to be creative enough to think out the points, and also how to express those points as you think them out. So this is where we'll end the lesson for today. I hope you actually enjoyed it, and I hope you've learned a whole lot today. Practice with this formula. Practice doing lots of writings. If you have any question, please drop them at the comment section of this video. Ensure you subscribe to our video. Please do well also to share the link to our channel to as many as you can reach out to. We really do appreciate you sharing our YouTube channel to so many people. Thank you for standing around. Thank you for going through the video. You are free to go through the video as many times as you want. My name is Ben. See you in the next video.